The key things that I really want to focus on in today's IQ episode is what people are overlooking when it comes to healing, or why they're staying stuck. And part of the reason that I really want to highlight that is because in our last podcast episode, you may recall I worked with a beautiful volunteer, Joy. And as you notice, she was able to release her own pain within like 5 minutes, 7 minutes. And her back pain had been about a 5, 6, and she was able to get it down to 0 quickly using her own mind, which I know sounds impossible to a lot of people. And so the analogy that you hear me use all of the time is this, is that a person with multiple personality disorder can have different illnesses and different personalities as they shift their mindset. And all kinds of things, blood pressure, body temperature, eyesight. I mean, literally, it's incredible. Things that you wouldn't think could change so fast can change very quickly. So my point is, she was able to get fast results. Now, if you listen to that episode, you'll also notice she had been working with her mind for more than 12 years and hadn't got the results. And here she is, this brilliant woman, owns her own business, beautiful heart, just beautiful, beautiful being. And she had been, doing all of the things, like the affirmations and whatnot. But if you stop and think about it, she's not the only one. Like if we really look at the big picture, think about it for a moment. Wayne Dyer, a beautiful, beautiful being. I love him. And meditation didn't stop him from getting cancer, nor did it heal him from cancer. Or even Steve Jobs, wonderful being. Okay. And meditation, he had been meditating since he was a teenager and went to India. And not only that, but he did everything from pescatarian and vegetarian and fruitarian and acupuncture and supplements and all of the things, if you will. Even had surgery and I think a liver transplant and like conventional, alternative, all of the things. But think about the one thing he didn't do is this. If you've ever watched a documentary on him, you'll know that he wasn't known to be the happiest, most pleasant man. His emotions were not pleasant necessarily, and no criticism towards him. That's the thing, is it's just about getting results. I know going through my injury, that's all I wanted was results. And so even when we think about these wonderful men, we don't have to judge them or fault them for their mistakes. Instead, what I learned during my injury, because I had been working on it year after year after year, and meditation and the affirmations and the binaural beats and the frequencies and the diet and the supplements and all of the things. And when it wasn't working, instead of judging myself or criticizing myself, I kept learning from my mistakes and just being honest with the data. And that is one of the things that has really helped me exponentially, is just to be honest with the data. And so when we look at these two men who spent a huge amount of time meditating every day for years and years and years, and it didn't work, we can see we have to go beyond that for healing. And now think about this for a moment. It's not a criticism towards meditation, because if you think about it, I drink water every day too, and water wasn't enough to help me heal myself. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we know that water is a great thing. So it's not a criticism. It's just saying that water, even though it's good, wasn't enough to help me heal. Meditation, though it can be good, and if I'm just going to be honest, there can be some good meditations, some that aren't so good. But it wasn't enough to help me heal. It wasn't enough to help them heal. And so a lot of times what can happen, and I know I did this, is that I got stuck in the meditation lottery, where I loved meditating. I can meditate and vibrate and feel incredible and euphoric and all of these things. But the truth of it is I wasn't healing. And so basically, but I was waiting for the meditation lottery. I was hoping that if I just did it enough, that one day I would wake up and I would be healed. But that's the key, is when you think about it, if we just laser focus on the change, if we think about Steve Jobs, going back to him, we can see that, again, if you've watched any documentary or ever looked up information on him or know anybody who's known him or even known him personally, he wasn't the most pleasant guy. He had a lot of emotions and stuff going on. Not a judgment, just an awareness. Or even if we look at our last podcast volunteer, beautiful, beautiful being, she had been doing the affirmations and affirmations and affirmations. And yet, if you think about it, she also had a feeling of fear of people. And if you recall, the analogy that I used is this, as I said, it's like picturing a dog and saying a dog is safe and a dog is safe and trying to affirm a dog is safe or I love dogs. But then the difference between picturing Lassie, or a nice little dog, a nice dog, a lovely, wonderful, loving dog, or picturing Cujo or a mean, ferocious dog that's been trained to attack, and so if you're picturing people are not safe, but then saying, oh, I love people, we can see that we have to really go beyond just affirmations or the meditations and all of those things. And while they can be great, we have to go beyond that to create a change. And that's what really was pivotal for me, because I had been doing all the other stuff for years, 6 years. And I said, okay, look, I can see that the mind works. I mean, the awareness that the placebo or the awareness of multiple personality disorder, we can see the power of the mind. And as simple as it sounds, the emotions, when we really go deeper and we look at the awareness of emotions and creating that real change and changing the pictures in our mind. So it really has to do with the depth of reprogramming our minds at a deeper level. So it's a genuine change. And that's what I would say is that so many people are overlooking is that. And so another thing to bring up is this. Is a lot of times with consciousness, people think they will expand your consciousness. We need to, see more of the world and see more energy and see more things. But part of consciousness is also becoming more consciously aware of what we're really feeling inside. And I would say that is another big thing. And something I'll see all of the time is where somebody starts working on a pattern. And maybe you even done this before, but maybe somebody's working on not criticizing themselves. And so they start working on it. And when they start becoming aware of the pattern, they start realizing they're doing it even more than they thought. And sometimes what can happen is when we go to change patterns, we become more and more aware of the subconscious patterns that are affecting us at a deeper level and affecting our health. And so if you think back to the last podcast episode, our beautiful volunteer, just the awareness where she was able to shift her mindset in a way where she really started changing the way she felt. It was key. And her pain shifted that fast. And so I know it can seem surreal, it can seem impossible, but that's the invitation, the depth that I want to invite you to today is that the more that we see the insights and distinctions, the more we get better and better and better at it, the more we can create results. And another way to kind of think about it is like this. If you think about starting a new job, when somebody starts a new job, they may know the job, but a year from now, are they going to do even better at the job? Yes. Why? Because they make distinctions or habits and understand with even more clarity what they need to do and get good at it. And so that is my hope from today's podcast episode is exactly that, is that you get more distinctions, more awareness, and more clarity from it. So that's my hope, just looking at the depth of it with even more clarity. And also I know that for many years I was so stuck in that meditation lottery that I wasn't really looking outside of the box. And by the way, I have worked with so many people who have been kind of stuck in that going, but I'm doing everything right. I'm just waiting for that moment that it's going to happen. And then I'll point something out to them and they go, oh my gosh. And they see it and they change and they get results. And so that's the insight. I want to give you that excitement to change, to look deeper, to be more excited, to really embrace that change and the awareness of your emotions and all of that. So that's the insight from today. And by the way, if you're wanting even more information, there are 2 ways right now that would be really helpful to get that. Number one, I did just do an interview on Gaia. If you're not familiar with Gaia, Gaia is like the Netflix, if you will, for personal development and spirituality. So I did just do that, and people have written in and said, oh my gosh, I took notes the whole time. So they loved that. So that's been great, and that's been released, and I just love that, and I love Gaia. So that is one way. Another way is I do have a free masterclass training where you can actually go in and understand the science behind healing and how it works and all of that. So that's another free resource as well. And next week, we are going to be working also, or later this week actually, on the next podcast episode, we're going to go even deeper with our volunteer Joy. which, as I mentioned to you from the last episode, she's already released her pain, but we're going to go even deeper to creating that change. So that's another resource as well. So multiple things to help expand your consciousness, your awareness, and help you create the changes you want in your life. So that said, it has been such a pleasure connecting with you. Please do make a point to hit the share button on this episode. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, or somebody you don't even know, because the more that every single person in our world is happy and healthy and empowered and loved and loving, the better this world is for all of us. And so please do have a most wonderful, incredible rest of your day. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. We'll see you there.